Hello everyone, Pavan here, and I'm back with another episode of Gardening on Nandanavanam. Today, I'm bringing to you all the journey of potatoes. This is the second year I'm growing potatoes in my garden, and my goal from last year was to at least grow about 100 potatoes this year. So I planted them in multiple pots, and the girls are really looking forward to the harvest after their last year's experience. According to them, this is the best treasure hunt ever. If you're here for the first time, welcome to my channel. My name is Pavan and I love to garden. As I garden, I make these episodes to help out aspiring gardeners take advantage of my experiences. Please subscribe to the channel to learn great gardening tips, watch interesting harvest videos, and yum recipes with homegrown food. You could pick some store bought potatoes and use them as seed potato to plant them in hopes that they would grow into plant and produce potatoes that you could harvest. Or you could spend some time in doing the right preparation and increase your success likelihood by like more than 1000%. And they are simple steps that you can follow. Pick the potatoes of your choice and store them in a box or bag or something and tuck them away in a dark spot in your pantry or some space in your home or garage that you do not need to disturb. Doing this prep is as important as when you do it. I recommend doing this about 45 to 60 days before the spring kicks in so you are ready to plant them in the right temperature. For Seattleites, I recommend you do this prep in mid to late December. That is when I do it. For the rest of you all, please time it based on your season clock. In doing so, that is me telling the potatoes that I no longer intend to use you for cooking, so you can start to sprout. And they do exactly that while resting in the dark spot I tucked them away in. I recommend leaving these potatoes undisturbed in that spot for about 4 to 6 weeks. All you got to do is to make sure the potatoes are absolutely dry and there is no moisture before you tuck them away. And once you do that, do not go back and keep checking on them. Let them rest there, leave them undisturbed, and they would start to sprout back. So you spend like about 5 minutes, and that increases your chances of actually producing potatoes instead of just hoping or dreaming about it. At the end of this prep period, you can collect the seed potatoes from this hideout spot and check on them to see if they've started sprouting. The more the merrier. If for some reason some of those potatoes didn't sprout enough, tuck them away for a few more weeks and then you can collect them later. Once you have a few potatoes which have sprouted well, you can get to work. What I do in my garden is to pick these sprouted potatoes, cut them in half before I plant them into pots like this. You could also plant them in full if you prefer that way. I set off this season with a lofty goal to grow 100 potatoes, so just this one pot won't be enough. So I've planted potatoes in more pots. After the second year of growing potatoes successfully, I've learned a few things about how not to grow potatoes. The first lesson is do not worry about how many seeds you plant in a single pot. There is no such thing like overcrowding the pots. This is one of the two pots in which I've planted potatoes last year, and this one pot alone produced like close to 40 potatoes last year. And that is because I've had at least 8 to 10 seeds planted in this pot last year. And I thought maybe that is too many plants to grow in one single pot and reduce the total seeds this year to about 2 to 4 in each pot. And that didn't produce better results. So in the next season, I'm planning to going back to 8 to 10 seeds in each pot. So it's a constant journey. If that works out, I'll let you know how it goes. But seems like going back to 8 to 10 might produce better results. I don't want to inundate you all with all the details, but there is definitely one more lesson I'd like to share, but I'll do that later in this video. I've planted seed potatoes in early spring. These are some obvious things, but I think are definitely important to call out. So when you plant the seed potatoes, pick well-drained pots, good soil, a sunny spot in your garden, and water them well. I've done all these things and fast forward about 3 months into early July. Here is a tour of potato pots in my garden. Remember those beautiful and pretty flowers? Yes, they did attract a lot of bees into the garden. The bees have also pollinated these flowers among the flowers on the other plants, and those flowers turned into these fruit. And those are potato flowers, and they turned into potato fruit. Yes, potatoes also produce fruit, and be aware those fruits are not edible and they're actually poisonous. So, if you do have any young kids or pets in your home, please pick those fruit on potato plants as soon as they start to come up. If you do not have young kids or pets in your household, there is a utility to those fruits so you can keep them and let them grow. I'll share about how to use them later in this video. I'm happy to share with you all that I exceeded my goal of growing 100 potatoes this year. So next year, maybe my goal should be to grow 300 potatoes, 500 potatoes. Not really sure. Let me think about that. But before I think about that, I need to figure out how to save this produce so I could use these potatoes throughout the winter. Unless, of course, I use them all up in the next month or so. I have not used any forks to harvest the potatoes as you've seen, but if you use forks of any sort, after harvesting, inspect your potatoes and pick out any potatoes that were hit by the fork. Those potatoes won't store well, so you might want to use them up. Once that is out of the way, you could either cure your potatoes directly or after cleaning them. I like to clean my potatoes thoroughly and dry them up before curing them. After the cleanup, I pack the potatoes in a bag and stash them away in some part of my garage which is cold and dark and let them cure for a month or so. This process of curing will allow the potatoes to dry up and prepare them for long term storage so they could last through the winter. For now, this process is working well for me, but I am told that curing unwashed potatoes would improve the storage life. So, if I indeed hit that 300 or 500 mark next year, then I would end up breaking my habit of cleaning the potatoes before curing them. So there you go. That's how you cure your potatoes once you harvest them so they can last longer throughout the season. I promised earlier that I'll share about the utility of the potato fruit. So now let's head into the final segment of this episode and answer that lingering question. If the potato fruits are not edible, what could be the possible utility of them? So here is how it works. You can pick the potato fruits, slice them up, and let them dry up. Once they are completely dry, you can use them to plant potatoes for the next season. Planting potatoes this way may not produce a huge harvest, but it was very intriguing for me to try it out. I've indeed planted the potato fruit this year and it have actually produced some small sized potatoes. There you go. That was the full cycle. From store bought potatoes, I was able to grow the plant, which actually started blooming to my surprise. And the flowers were pretty. They've turned into fruit. The plant produced a lot of potato last season, and I was able to use the dried up fruit as seed this year. And that grew back into plant and also produced potato. So I can't ask for more. Thanks you all for being with me today. Hope this episode was informative and helpful. If you like the video, please smash that thumbs up button. By doing it, YouTube will recommend my video to more viewers. That's an easy way for you all to show your appreciation towards the channel and motivate me to continue posting these episodes. Happy gardening. This is Pavan signing off until the next episode. You all have fun growing and spend time in your garden.